What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to Sportskeeda MMA News. Khamzat Chimaev talks about his heavy history with weight cutting and gives an intimate insight in the lead up to his fight with Gilbert Burns. Kamaru Usman says he's prepared to fight anyone and has no doubt about staying the pound-for-pound king. Sean O'Malley and Uncle Chael Sonnen share their thoughts about Jake Paul calling out Michael Bisping. Darren Till calls for a fight with the man he's apparently scared of, Uriah Hall. And Josh Thomson talks about the situation involving his longtime teammate, former UFC heavyweight champ Cain Velasquez. All that and more on today's edition of Sportskeeda MMA News. If you see any of your favorite fighters mentioned, make sure to blast that like button. Let's get started. The UFC's number 3 ranked welterweight Khamzat Chimaev shared an incredible behind-the-scenes documentary about the week leading up to his fight of the night victory over Gilbert Burns at UFC 273. In this exclusive inside look, fans can see yet another example of the brutal nature surrounding weight cuts, and how it brings even the toughest fighters down to their knees, emotionally and physically. Chimaev shared some details about his early days with weight cutting. When I started weight cut, I go back to when I was 14 years old. I had this surgery. 1 month I couldn't eat or drink. They put an IV through my nose and into my stomach. In the locker room before his fight with Burns, Chimaev's BJJ coach Alan Nascimento delivered an extremely warm pre-fight speech while the team stood in a circle. Here's what he said. "Today we got the blessing to be here, ready, prepared to do what we love. We don't see ourselves doing anything else than what we are doing here, connecting with each other like a family. Nothing happens without a reason. There's a guy here from Greece, Chechnya, a guy from England, and a favela guy from Brazil, united together for only one mission, only one goal, victory." After going toe-to-toe with Burns in Chimaev's toughest fight yet, he had a few humble words to say. "I feel sorry for my coaches. They work hard with me. I made many mistakes. Go back and watch my fight like I always do. I will work hard, more energy. I need to be everywhere black belt. Striking, ground and pound, wrestling, grappling, whatever. Everything. I will fix everything now. One way I'm happy, and one way I'm mad." Khamzat Chimaev is 11-0 in MMA after an explosive start in the UFC, which included debut back-to-back wins within 10 days, a 17-second KO over Gerald Meerschaert, a first-round submission over Li Jingliang, and now the insane fight against Burns. Do you think Khamzat Chimaev will evolve from his mistakes against Burns? Who's next for the Wolf? Leave a comment down below. Khamzat Chimaev shared some sweet words with Gilbert Burns after their barn burner at UFC 273. Gilbert Burns was laying backstage while Khamzat Chimaev approached him and thanked him for their incredible fight. Here's what he had to say. "Thank you for everything, brother. We do this for our families. And don't think I don't like you. We just do our work. I love you guys. I saw your family. I've seen your kids before. It was hard to fight with you after that. I love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Good fight." Pound-for-pound king Kamaru Usman recently shared his thoughts on the state of the welterweight division. The 20-1 Kamaru Usman is currently on a 19-fight win streak with 5 title defenses, 2 of those coming from Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal each. Now he's expected to fight Leon Edwards this summer, but Usman is also keeping a close eye on Khamzat Chimaev. Here's what he said.
"I've never had a doubt that I can and will or would beat anybody in the world. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. That's just how I roll. That's just what I do. I dissect each and every situation all the time. And I definitely did in that fight. But there was a lot of things there that I knew were present, all along. This kid has done a good job going out there and defeating the number 2 guy in the division. So yeah, if that's the next fight after Edwards, then that's the next fight. But Edwards is our focus right now."
Usman then let fans know that he's ready for any challenge in his future and that he will always be at the top.
So I'm just focused on the next one. If it's Edwards, so be it. I'll be prepared. I'll be ready to go in there and do what I do best. If it's a Chimaev, I'll be ready to go in there and do what I do best. It doesn't matter if it's the little Irish guy. I'll be ready to do what I do. So that's why you are given that title of being the pound-for-pound best.
What happens to Kamaru Usman if he loses his fight to Leon Edwards? Do you think that throws a wrench in his plans to box Canelo Alvarez? UFC welterweight prospect Shavkat Rakhmonov has signed a new multi-fight contract with the UFC. The 15-0 Rakhmonov has 3 finishes in the UFC, most recently knocking Carlston Harris out cold in the first round. If he keeps this up, fans might get to see a super fight with Khamzat Chimaev down the line. UFC superstar prospect Sean O'Malley recently shared his thoughts about the Paul brothers. Recently, Jake Paul launched a social media assault on former UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping, calling for a boxing fight and even going so far in saying that Bisping was on his hit list. On a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show, O'Malley said this, "I feel like Bisping Paul could be next. Who else would be next? Jake says he wants to fight in August or some Who else would it be? Who's our frontrunner right now? Tommy Fury? Michael Bisping? O'Malley did also mention the difficulty in setting up that fight, due to the fact that Bisping has one working eye. Then O'Malley spoke on Logan Paul potentially fighting in the UFC, something Paul has publicly asked UFC President Dana White about on his podcast Impulsive. O'Malley said this: "Imagine if we had Logan fighting some of these guys too? That would be fire. Logan was impressive against Floyd. His hands down, kind of like athletic. Paddy could sub him. If Logan's never really done jiu-jitsu, he's only wrestled. And is Paddy a black belt? Because he's got sick jiu-jitsu. I've seen. Yeah, he probably could, but that'd be an interesting fight." Uncle Chael Sonnen also shared his thoughts on Jake Paul calling out Bisping, but Sonnen defended his MMA brother. Here's what he had to say.
Jake Paul has called out Michael Bisping. I don't hate that. Now, Jake Paul did say as part of his call out, if you can go and get licensed. I will tell you firsthand, Michael Bisping's in great shape. And I'll also tell you another thing. There's some guys that you play with. There's some guys that you don't. Don't play with Michael Bisping. Do not say Michael's name unless you truly are willing to fight him.
Jake Paul is 5-0 as a pro boxer, holding a TKO victory over the former One Championship and Bellator champion Ben Askren, and a devastating KO victory over former UFC champ Tyron Woodley. Michael Bisping knocked Luke Rockhold out cold to win the UFC middleweight title in 2016, but retired from MMA in 2017 with a 30-9 record. Bisping has also fought legends like Anderson Silva, Dan Henderson, and George St. Pierre. Do you agree with Chael Sonnen? Is Jake Paul in over his head? Unfortunately, the co-main event for this Saturday's fight night has been officially cancelled. UFC heavyweight prospect Tanner Boser pulled out of his fight with the undefeated Alexander Romanov due to injury. Here's a statement from Boser. "Hey guys, I'm injured and off the card this weekend. I pulled out of the fight late last week. I've fought through many injuries in the past, and I've never pulled out of a fight before. This really having trouble hitting that 30th pro fight. Hopefully I can soon." The number 8 ranked UFC middleweight Darren Till recently spoke to Submission Radio about what his future in the UFC might look like soon, but he didn't mince words about his beef with Uriah Hall. When asked about who he wanted to fight next, Till mentioned Hall and said this: "I just want the right fight for me. It'd be probably hard taking the Uriah Hall fight. I'm scared of Uriah Hall. He's a beast. I think Uriah is a certified I just don't think he's about that. I think he's weird. I think he's a weird guy. It is what it is, whatever." Till's comments were in response to Hall calling Till scared of that fight. He even addressed Hall on Twitter earlier this year. "Uriah Hall, brother. You just did an interview saying I am scared of you. I jumped up to middleweight and straight off the bat fought two of the best middleweights there is in Gastelum and Whitaker. I have never turned a fight down at welterweight or middleweight." Till also spoke about potentially fighting the reigning middleweight champion Israel Adesanya, but acknowledged that he is not in the position yet to be calling for that fight. "Yeah, I feel like Adesanya is a long way off. I feel like I just gotta get a few wins under my belt and prove how good I am to the people again. Obviously, as soon as I get that title fight and win, I know I can beat Adesanya. The sky's the limit then. The possibilities are endless." Darren Till began his UFC career at 13-0, then challenging Tyron Woodley for the welterweight championship. Till is 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but is still hopeful to make a middleweight title run. He is now 18-4-1. Which next fight makes the most sense for Darren Till? Joaquin Buckley, owner of the most viral knockout in UFC history, was snubbed hardcore by Khamzat Chimaev. Backstage at UFC 273, Buckley was filmed calling for a fight with Darren Till. Buckley said he didn't need to worry about Chimaev because he fights at 170, but called for a fight with Till in July. After the interaction, Chimaev asked Till, "Who is that guy?" To which Till replied with, "I don't know." Eventually, the interaction got heated, as Chimaev later called Buckley a and security had to step in between both parties. While you're still here, subscribe to Sportskeeda MMA. And last but not least, former UFC lightweight Josh Thomson recently blasted the US justice system for completely failing former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. Thomson has been a longtime teammate of Velasquez through their years at American Kickboxing Academy, home of champions Daniel Cormier and Khabib Nurmagomedov, to name a few. Velasquez was arrested in February after allegedly shooting a man accused of molesting his family member, who is a minor. Here's what Thomson had to say to Nolan King.
It breaks my heart to see him have to go through this. I think that the justice system failed his son in this situation. They failed him as a law-abiding citizen, and then he went out and took it into his own hands. It's really sad. Hopefully something happens that we can start remedying this situation nationwide, not just here locally. We can't be letting pedophiles out, sex offenders out, with no bail, and especially back to a daycare type setting where this guy lives. And so it's sad. It really is, but there's not much anyone else can do. All you can do is support him and be there for for him and his wife and his kids and family and wish them all the best and just be there if they call. You know, that's it. That's all we can do. Well, I'm hoping that the laws change. I'm hoping that they stop allowing sex offenders out. I'm hoping that they stop allowing them to be released with no bail. I'm hoping that the state does something to take that into consideration and start changing that.
Cain Velasquez is a 2-time heavyweight champion with notable wins over Brock Lesnar, Junior Dos Santos, and Bigfoot Silva. He retired from MMA after a KO loss to Francis Ngannou and held a 14-2 record. Do you agree with Josh Thomson? That about does it for Sportskeeda MMA news. Here are some of the best comments from today. Picking past their prime, retired fighters as usual. Bisping was a beast, but he is over 40 now, with vision and only one eye. Way to go, Jake. So what? Sterling spooned for his points. There should be no points for spooning without trying for submissions. There should be 30-second time limit on spooning, then back up to the feet, or you might as well change the name to the Ultimate Manhugger. Connor, 1 fight away from retiring. Pick a good one for your loss. LOL. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and share. Your comments could be featured in the next Sportskeeda MMA news video. For updates, quotes, and exclusive interviews from all your favorite fighters, follow Sportskeeda MMA on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in.